Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Freeing Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Dukeman, and today I have with me Chris Revell. He is a firefighter paramedic of 20 years and has been gracious enough to join us. So, Chris, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, first of all, thanks, Dan. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. I am 47 years old. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have been with the department I've been on for 20 years in January. I spent 6.5 years in the Air Force as a fireman. I worked in Northern California as a paramedic for a little bit after I got out. I used my GI Bill to put me through paramedic school and then worked in the Bay Area for a little bit. And then I moved out to Las Vegas here and got a job at one of the test sites that don't exist as a fireman. I worked out there for a little bit, and then I got picked up with the department I'm with now and have been there for 20 years. So I am currently an engineer. I got promoted to engineer in 2009. Yeah, and it's been an awesome career.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it is a career choice for many, and it is a good one. It has ups and downs like everything else that anybody else might do.
For sure.
So as we kind of dive into things and talk about, careers and what you've done, obviously you have a lot of experience. You've been doing this for a while. Did you do like air crash rescue with the Air Force, or what was your?
I did both. Most all Air Force bases that have aircraft have a crash rescue side and a structural side because there's base housing and everything else. So depending on what station you're assigned to, that's what you have to run on. But for the most part, everybody is trained structural and crash rescue.
Nice.
Yeah.
So as you've gone throughout your career, how have you dealt with the weight of the calls and the things that we deal with, especially being a medic? It seems like the more time you spend in that box, that's kind of where the most weight gets put on our shoulders. Certainly in fire, we see troubled things too, but just that patient contact seems to weigh on most people.
Yeah. I would say early in my career, I, just like every new firefighter, was gung-ho, let's do this, work, sign overtime, work up for this, work, just go. Not knowing as time goes on and where I'm at now, seeing what I've seen and dealing with what I've dealt with for so long, firemen, police, military, we are so good at burying things. We have, for the most part, I think, maybe it's a mechanism, but we have to have kind of a sick sense of humor to kind of deal with things. We do. But over the course of my career, my 20 years, I've seen a lot. And I just got so used to burying it. That's all I would do. I would run the call, and it could be one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I, run the call, do it, and then you bury it. Okay, let's go on to the next. Let's go on to the next. Well, you can only bury so much, until it catches up to you. And then it affects every aspect of your life after that. So for me, it came to a head a couple years ago, like bad. There's no reason for me to go into the deep dark secrets, of it, but there were really bad thoughts, like horrible thoughts that, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And maybe everybody else around me would be better off if I wasn't here thoughts. And it started affecting every aspect of my life. I stopped taking care of myself. I started eating like crap. I wasn't working out. I wasn't present at home. I wasn't present with my daughter. The darkness, as for me, it was destroying my life, and if something didn't happen or something didn't change, I feel, and I don't like to talk about it because I'm not there anymore, but I feel that my daughter might be without a father. Something needed to be done. And I'm so blessed and so grateful that I am where I'm at now and have made the strides in my journey to put me on the right path, because a lot of people don't make it out of it. You know, a lot of guys don't make it out of it, but there are ways to deal with it, and there are ways to get out of it if you can just allow yourself to see those avenues.
Absolutely. And so for you, what did that look like to start climbing out of that hole?
Well, so I was dealing with a lot, and I didn't see it at the time because obviously I was in that dark hole, and I, tried to climb out, and it just felt normal to me. You've seen that meme, I think, when there's two people riding on a bus and one guy's looking out the window towards the cliffside and it's all dark and gloomy. And then you see the other person looking out the other side and it's all sunshine and mountains and all that. Well, I was constantly looking at I didn't even want to look the other way. I was constantly staring at the darkness. So I couldn't find my way out. So I was there for a while, not knowing it.
Definitely.
Not knowing it. And then I'm very good at putting on a facade. Hey, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm good. Hey, Chris, how you doing? I'm good. And I think a lot of us, hey, I'm good, but knowing we're not, but I would say a year and a half ago when it really, really hit me, Dan, was my wife asked me for a divorce. She asked me for a divorce. And I didn't see it. I knew I was battling with some stuff, but I always assumed she would always be there, always there to deal with. But when I look back, it was all me. It was all my fault. Everything. I wasn't being the husband. Like I was telling you, I wasn't being the father. I wasn't being engaging. I wasn't being who I swore to be to her. And by her doing the hardest thing she's ever had to do was say, hey, I can't do this anymore. I'm unhappy. I finally started seeing myself from a different light, so to speak, or a different view. I finally was able to see what I was doing and realize, holy cow. The first step I did was, okay, where do I go from here? What do I need to do? The first thing I did is I actually went and found a therapist. I needed to get some stuff out. I needed to talk. A couple of the places I went initially, it was, and no offense to them because they've gone through the schooling and they've done that, but I didn't need a 23-year-old to tell me, hey, here's some sunshine, let me throw it at you type of thing. I needed somebody, and I think you can agree, because of what we do and what we see, we need somebody hard-nosed, especially me being in the military. I needed somebody that's going to be like, look, dude, stop being here you go. So I found a actually retired lieutenant colonel who became a therapist. He had lost guys in combat. I didn't even know the stuff that was buried was even in there. This guy pulled more stuff out of me than anybody ever has. And I was, wow, this is what this feels like. This is what, and then after that, I started making some changes. I started doing drills. I started doing other things that, started along the path. And then I realized that if I could get myself back in shape, taking care of myself, then I would actually look in the mirror and be proud of who I was seeing again. Because every time I looked in the mirror, I wasn't happy with who I saw or what I saw, I actually didn't recognize the guy in the mirror. I was like, once I opened my eyes, and then I went on my journey, bro. And, to this date, as of actually this morning, I'm down 45 pounds. I have completely restructured my nutrition, my workouts. People are actually reaching out to me now, bro, what are you doing? Can you help? What's going on? So it's been an awesome journey. And I'm just grateful that I didn't have vices. I didn't get into drinking. I didn't get into drugs. I didn't get into anything like that. Thank God. I turned working out and going to the gym into my vice. That's where I was able to get, everything out. So, but I am proud to say now that even though the marriage didn't work out, my relationship with my ex-wife is the best it's ever been. We are 100% like best friends. We are co-parenting our daughter and still traveling and doing trips together, but more as just we're homies.
That's great.
It's awesome, man. It is the best feeling in the world, because I'm sure you can say too, you've seen people go through divorces and they're horrible.
Yep.
We would never do that to our daughter. She needs to see that both mommy and daddy are there. We still love each other. Because at the end of the day, the kids are the one that
that's what matters.
They suffer, so, but, I've just made it a choice in myself to do what's right and just be the best father I can be the best co-parent person I can be. And it's been awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And as we're talking about this, I remember, it's been about 8 or 9 months since we met. Yes. And we talked about a lot of this, and we had some similarities in our story, where I haven't been divorced as long, but like it's definitely been more on the amicable end, where we're working on that friendship end of things. And it's still hard, but it's like I think we're way better off than most, and have definitely taken that stance to really try to put the kids first and still have that relationship with mom and dad. But also a couple things that you said, like with the therapist, it's hard to just find the right therapist right out of the gate. That first one, you really have to find someone that matches your personality, or that kind of speaks your language, because like you said, like, that nothing against the 23-year-old, but you needed somebody with similar life experiences and somebody
100%.
who got you. And I was much the same way. It took me a long time with my therapist before I actually got to a point where I was like, okay, yeah, we've built some rapport. There's some commonalities, some things that just make us kind of mesh, where I can talk to you and feel like I can unload these things in a healthy way. And that's super important.
Absolutely. You have to be able to, because there's no point to therapy if you're not willing to let go, so to speak. I mean, you have to be willing to, if you are ultimately, your end goal is to really find out the root problem and what's going on, you have to be willing to just be an open book. And that's hard for guys like us, for what we do. It's hard to open up. But like you said, 100%, you need to find somebody that is compatible with you. Like I said, there's nothing against but they had no idea what I've seen, or what I've gone through, or what I've done, or anything like that. So I was very grateful to find the one that I did. And like I said, he asked questions that I think makes, to your point, he understood kind of the situation. He's lost guys in combat. He's seen things like I've seen, and he's like, okay, well, now I know how to peel back this layer of this onion and open him up to see what's going. And I'll tell you, boy, but it was awesome. It was liberating,
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it. Like, once you start unloading the stuff in a good way, and you start kind of dealing with it and processing it, things get better. And as things get better, you kind of gain some traction in your life. And, for you certainly said that you made working out like your drug of choice. It took me a long time to figure out what that shift was. And I certainly, like, I don't hide it at all, that like I drowned myself in alcohol, like, for years. That was just what I did. And it was like an excuse to not have to go to work, to have to go on the calls. Like, I didn't miss work because of it, but it allowed me to not take the overtime and those things to have to get called back in. Like, I'm sorry, drinking.
Can't come in.
What are you going to do? Can't come in. So it was my escape. It was a Band-Aid. But once I've started finding those healthy things, that's when I started grabbing some traction as well. And I think that's good, that, because oftentimes, like, my therapist had told me, like, you should really, like, try to work out and do those things. But it wasn't until I unloaded some baggage that I could actually once I started healing from discussing those things, that I could actually get out and start working out and had that drive, because I was just so tanked all the time.
Right.
That there was just no energy, there was no desire. Like you just there wasn't anything left in the tank to go and put effort out.
Right. Right. You were like you said, you put a Band-Aid on, and that Band-Aid was, you felt, keeping you together. You know, it was just keeping you together. And you were afraid if you rip that Band-Aid off, you know, there goes everything, you know? So no, I get it, man. I mean, you know, it was, I dove into it 100%. Like I mean, head first into, and it wasn't just the working out. I needed something to follow. I needed some sort, at the beginning, I needed to be checking stuff off. So what I did for me, what I really dove into was I did 75 hard. And it gave me something to check off. Like I wasn't going to fail myself again. So it gave me of taking the progress picture every day, which was awesome, because I got to start over time actually liking the person I was seeing in the reflection. You know, I was proud of that person again. So that, and then the working out nutrition came with it. But man, the books I read, starting off, I was reading books about anger and depression and all that stuff. But now I'm reading all these self-help books and financial books and just broadening everything, you know. But I needed to start off, I needed something to check off to make sure, okay, today, and I didn't look ahead. It was like, okay, this day I need to do these things. This day I need to complete all these things. If I completed them, that's a win. That's awesome. Cool. Just like Sean says, have your roadmap. If you get everything done, that's a win. You've just won your day, you know? And I dedicated myself to those 75 days. And since then, I've actually done 75 hard twice. I finished Live Hard once, and I'm doing Live Hard again right now.
Awesome.
But it's not even, I don't even need the checklist anymore. It's just because who I become. I love it. I enjoy it. And now I'm sharing it with my daughter. She goes to the gym with me, or if I'm in the garage working out, she's working out, or my outdoor workout is I put on a weight vest and go for a walk. And she's like, Daddy, it's time for our walk. You know, that right there is everything to me.
Absolutely.
So it's been a journey. It's not over yet, but it's awesome.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, when he mentioned Sean Whalen is our coach. We're part of the Lions Den, and what he does is just really helps us focus on 4 areas of our life, and to just really maximize what we do with power, passion, purpose, and production. So all those things are, you know, your body, your relationships, your finances, and your faith, essentially. And so for me, like, that's been a huge thing. And I know that's been a big thing for you too. But I love that you bring up like going on the walks with your daughter.
Yeah.
That's been one of the greatest things for me as well. Just as I've healed, is building that relationship with my daughters. Especially when you realize, because I realized how bad my relationship with them was. It was virtually non-existent. And then to flash forward to where it is now, it's better than it's ever been. And every day it keeps getting better.
Right.
And even to the point where, like, I didn't want to interrupt the interview, but they had come in real quick to grab something. They're with their mom today, and they kind of like poked their head through the door, and, you know, they saw the lights. So they're kind of like real quick and off they go. But, you know, it's great to have those relationships and to see them flourish. And so much of that, I don't think would have ever happened if I wouldn't have gone on a healing journey,
right,
to become better. And so that's a beautiful thing. And I love seeing the stuff that you post on social media with your daughter. And she's just a sweetheart, cute little girl, and just always has this big smile on her face. And I can see the joy that she has when she's with her dad, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's my whole heart. That's everything to me. You know, I have, through this journey, I mean, I've become a purpose-driven father. she's my purpose.
Mm.
Everything I do is for her, but that's all encompassing, right? I'm being the best version of her for her. So I'm working on myself. I'm building, I've fallen back in love with what I do at the fire department. I'm building a coaching program to help others that have gone through stuff we've gone through, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. And to let these guys know, men and women, that they're not alone, that there is help. That's my job now, is to, I'm becoming the person that I was meant to be. I know that now.
Mm.
I just need to give that person to the world now. I need to give that to other people that are struggling, and I feel really good, Dan. I'm in such a good place now. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I have a fantastic relationship with my ex. I have a phenomenal relationship with my daughter, and things are good, bro. Things are just good, man. I love it. The smile on my face and the smile on I love it, man. It's just good to see. It really is.
Absolutely. And that's, so much that I'm finding as I progress and doing similar things that you're doing, as far as helping people with this podcast and through social media, and trying to help people get into the treatments and kind of discover what's out there as they go on their own healing journey. I love that, helping people. And I still have the parts of the fire department that I love. But I feel much more called to helping people that are struggling, because I've been through that and you've been
100%.
through that. So you recognize it, you understand it. And much like your therapist got you because he had similar experiences, it's the same way with what you're doing with the coaching that you're trying to build, and with what I'm doing, that it just gives you that opportunity to have a relationship with a stranger because they can relate to you. They're experiencing things that you've experienced. And so it's wonderful to be able to help people and to reach out and just kind of offer that hand to just help pull them up if they're willing to take the first step.
Absolutely. And that's just it, is that because of what we've gone through, when we ask somebody, hey, are you good? Or, hey, how you doing? And they give you the, oh, I'm okay. We know better because we've been through it. Are you sure? Hey, bro, I'm here. But you never want to force them either. You don't want to pressure them, but hey, man, I get it. I was there. I'm here if you need me, and just offering a little bit of value here and a little bit of value there to somebody, that goes a long way, not just for them, but it goes a long way for you, because it's, it's making you a better person too.
Absolutely.
So that's, and I feel that's like you said, I feel that's my calling now too, or my purpose also, is we've been through it. Give what you've learned and overcome, and give it to somebody else. Nobody has to fight alone, and people need to understand that.
Absolutely.
A lot of people think they're on an island, that they're the only ones dealing with this. You're not alone. Reach out, ask, please, because you do matter. And
absolutely.
Some people might take longer than others, but if you just offer that hand or offer that value any little way possible, and just keep reaching out to them, it'll pay off. It does. It'll pay off.
Yep, absolutely. And and as you say, like, people feel like they're an island. I mean, I'm sure that you remember feeling that way at points
100%.
during this. I mean, I absolutely do, where I could be in a room full of people and feel like I was absolutely alone, that there was nobody around.
100%.
And it's just the self-isolation. But once we recognize that and see that other people feel that too, you aren't alone, and that you can step out of that really, it's freeing to realize that you're not alone, that there's other people on that island with you. And it's not a little tiny island. It's a big space, and it's a flourishing space. You just have to look at things from a different perspective and peel back those layers and find that good spot.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, man. and that's just it, is that just reach out, man. Just ask, just ask, just talk. The thing that bothers me the most, I would say, is that, the military, the fire department, law enforcement, they all want to talk about mental health until it's time to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They all say they want to do this, but until it comes time to do it, there's nothing, the whole, here's a pamphlet, call this number, does nothing.
Yep.
Does nothing. We all have brothers and sisters that some are going to open up more than others, but find somebody that's been through it. Find somebody that has come out on the other side and just talk to them. Hey, bro, what did you do? Hey, what did you do? I need to talk. That's, if I get that from somebody or a text, I'll put everything down,
Yep.
what I'm doing, because that could be that moment that person needs the most.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, because there are a few guys that always checked on me, always made sure I was good, so the people that are really rooting for you, because there are some times that I didn't feel that I could reach out, or I'm just glad that the people that I did reach out to were there, because it could have been the last second, but knowing that they're there and knowing that if you do reach out, somebody will be there, is the best feeling in the world.
Absolutely. And yeah, it really is. And it's always really touched me in a really special way when somebody has noticed. It's a different thing too, because we have to recognize, like, within ourselves, that we have to not give the bullshit answer.
Right.
I'm okay. And I've had, I had a coworker, it was a couple years ago, just was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm fine. And he's like, your face tells me otherwise.
Right.
Like, your expression tells me otherwise. And I wasn't in a spot to talk about it, but it was early on in my treatments. Like, he didn't even know I was getting treatments yet. Right. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And he's like, all right, well, I don't think you are, but if you say you are, I trust you. And he just kind of left it at that. But he knew, and it was his way of just calling me out, just saying BS. Right. And so I thought about it, and it was kind of a hard day. I dealt with some stuff. I'd already had like a therapy session, like 2 of them in a day. And so I spent like most of the night feeling kind of bad that, like, he knew and I didn't really want to open up to him. So I went and visited him the next day at his house, and I was just like, yeah, so this is what's going on. And he's like, yeah, I didn't know all that was going on. I just knew something was a little off.
Right.
But it took a lot to have that vulnerability to do that. And I guess I bring that up because the hardest phone call I ever made when it came to deciding to get treatment was to call a therapist and just be like, hey, I'm pretty sure something's wrong. It's a big step. And we use our phones constantly, but that was a hard phone call for me.
Oh, 100%. I'm sure.
And then just to have those conversations with people, to have that conversation with my boss, that, hey, I've diagnosed with PTSD and it's not good, and I'm in a bad way right now. That was a hard conversation, but it becomes a very liberating conversation down the road. Once we start to open up and accept it and realize that it's not like a death sentence, it's not, for me, I just thought I was crazy. That was how I looked at it. It was like, I'm signing up to go into a mental institution type of thing. And it's really not. Right. But once you kind of get past that and see that, like, that's not what it is. It's just something that you need to deal with, something that as you deal with it, it actually makes you stronger. And I think, I feel like you could probably speak to that, just based on what your journey has been, that you've definitely come out of this in a way better position, in a way better space, mentally, physically, emotionally, probably even spiritually and relationship wise, just because of the effort that you've put in and being willing to go through those steps.
Oh, absolutely. Like for me now, if I'm having a bad day, or if I'm having, I don't bury things anymore. I don't hide my emotions anymore. I, you know, and the cool thing is that I have the guys I can talk to, but now my ex is usually the person hey, I had a bad shift, or I have this, or, but whoever it is, I just spill. I don't bury things anymore. I'm not ashamed of feeling like that. And I think that's the big problem, is the stigma of still, oh, you're not a man, or you're not this or that or whatever. And that's the problem, is that stigma of not being able to be vulnerable and suck it up. And that's how we got here.
Absolutely.
That's how we got here. That's how we've been indoctrinated into just suck it up, just suck it up, just suck it up. And you can only suck up so much, man, until it does what it does, and some people go a lifetime bearing stuff, and some people explode after whatever, but I have no issues anymore of talking about it and letting things out and being vulnerable and sharing my story. And yeah, I tell people I thought about taking my own life, but look where I'm at now.
Exactly.
Look where I'm at now. I'm the best shape I've ever been in. I'm healthy. I have the best relationships. I'm good. When I say I'm good now, I'm good, but if I ever have a time where I'm not good, I'll tell you, today's a bad day, but that's what it takes. You can't go back to your old habits, because then it's a revolving circle. You're on a hamster wheel. You get going, and then once those habits are ingrained and you stick to it, and it's awesome. And I have to say this for maybe anybody that is listening: get yourself a morning routine. Get yourself a morning routine.
Amen.
And make it non-negotiable. Once you get those things done, whatever they decide to do, like I have a full morning routine, but by the time I'm done with that routine, I've accomplished so much. I've already stacked a bunch of wins for the day, but I'm ready to take on the day, and anything that happens, I'm prepared, and it's so liberating to know that, and then I have a routine when I leave the station. So because that was one of my big things, is that I would bury it at work, but once I left there, I would bring it right home. I would bring it home. I would bring home the attitude, and the angriness would come out, and I slept like crap, and blah, 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 and I would always make it about me, not knowing that when a lot of this was going on, or when it really came to a head, she was at home with a newborn, not sleeping, and this and that, but I always made it about me. But now, get yourself a morning routine and make it non-negotiable. Attack your day. And it's really impossible to derail you. And even if you do get derailed, you have a roadmap to put you right back on course and keep going, you know? And that was one of the biggest things that I did and my morning routine just keeps growing. It's weird because it keeps growing in the time like before I would wake up at 4, and then it became, now I'm up at 3:30, and it just keeps, but my day, I've accomplished so much by then. By time I'm ready to go, or by time my daughter wakes up, or by time I need to head to the station, I'm ready to go. I'm in a good mood. I'm happy. It's just, get yourself a morning routine, people. Get yourself a morning
absolutely. And I don't feel as crazy now, because I shifted to the 4 a.m. I had done it for a while and kind of fell away from it. And then I was like, no, I really need to get back into this, because I wasn't having that morning routine. At least it wasn't consistent. And now I'm like, gosh, if I could get up at 3. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. That sounds ridiculous. But now I'm like, yeah, you're saying 3:30. Like, I can squeeze a half hour in more.
And it honestly, it's not, it's a stretch, look at it as a stretch. And if you do it, you've just stacked another win for the day. If you could keep stacking small wins
Yep.
Those small wins turn into big events later on, my man. They turn into massive things if you just keep stacking small wins, you know?
Absolutely. And plus too, I really think that morning routine, it's not, the wins also equates to like replenishing your cup a little bit, because you're doing those things for yourself.
100%.
I mean, that's on you. Those things are that's your time that's directly filling your cup with the things you need, whatever that is, whether that's working out, that's meditation, that's personal study, journaling, yoga, whatever it is that's you decide is for you, that's filling your cup.
For you. Yeah, it's for you. And if you don't do it, then you've just let yourself down.
Yep, you cheated yourself.
You cheated yourself. You haven't let anybody else down. You've let yourself down. And that's, that's one thing that really got to me is, if I can't fix letting myself down, how am I ever going to not let anybody else down? So my morning routine is not negotiable, non-negotiable. And then once I have that down, like you said, my cup's full by the time I'm ready to leave for work. I can pour into other people. I can pour my energy and my positivity into somebody else that's not having such a good day. It's just, my morning routine is automatic now, and it's awesome.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. I love it. And I really love, like, when I talk to people about it, or like my therapist, and they're like, you have an awesome morning routine. Like, you have a lot on your plate in the morning. And I'm like, but the days that I don't do it, like, because stuff does happen. Like, occasionally I get,
of
like,
course,
a surprise, like, hey, you're going in to push snow this morning. And I get that, like, at 4 a.m. when I'm just getting up, and I'm like, oh, well, that now I've got to like hurry and like get ready and run out the door. And some of those things don't happen. I'll try to squeeze in as much as I can before I have to get there. But I notice if like one of those things doesn't happen, if like I skip one of them, even if it's just a small thing, like journaling is 5, maybe 10 minutes. I don't even know what it is of my morning. It's not very much. It's a pretty quick activity that I do. But I notice if I have to cut that out, just that little bit, it makes a difference.
It does.
I think I would also say, like, if you're like, well, that's crazy getting up at 4 a.m. or 3:30 or whatever that is, just increase it by little increments. Because like you talked about the little wins, just this week set your alarm for 10 minutes earlier than you did the week before. And just do that. And then when that starts to feel normal, 10 minutes earlier. And you'll see that how much those little 10-minute increments even allow you to fit in that much more stuff. Like, I love that I can get so much done in the morning and then have time to just feel like good, like spend like 5 minutes after doing that, after doing that routine, before I have to head out the door for work. And you're just like, man, it just feel good. Like it gives me wholeness, and I love it.
100%. And the other thing that's in my head too, when I do it, knowing, because one of the things I do first thing in the morning, especially if I'm going into the station, is that I get my outdoor workout in first thing in the morning. I get up, I hydrate with 32 ounces of water with some electrolytes. I take a cold shower, and I'm out the door. But when I'm walking my neighborhood, knowing that I'm the only one up, everybody else is in their bed, everybody else is, still sleeping, I've already accomplished, so much. But by the time I'm done with my morning routine and I'm heading out the door and seeing these other people scrambling with their coffee in their bags and all this, man, I got so much done already. And knowing that, just knowing I have that step up a little bit makes me feel, I get a little chuckle out of it going,
oh yeah,
because I love walking the neighborhood in the morning. There's not, and it's so peaceful because nobody's up, nobody's out. And just that feeling going, yeah, I'm up, I'm out, I'm already attacking my day. You're sleeping.
Yep.
Let's go,
Yeah. And even just the peace at home.
Like, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
It's just that time where nobody's bothering you. It's just your time. And that's hard to find. And
It
and
is.
like I used to always try to get that at the end of the day. Like, okay, kids are in bed, like it's quiet time, like this is for me. And then you got kids that are screwing around because they don't want to go to bed and they're in there
Of course.
laughing and goofing off, and you're just like, and it just builds frustration. Then you don't get that time
Right.
because it's cutting into it. But they're never laughing and screwing around at 4 a.m.
Nope.
They're out.
They're in deep sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that just like get up and the house is yours. It's completely your space. It's your time and it's all about you. And even the same, like going out in the morning, like hitting the gym in the morning
Oh,
and there's nobody in there. I love an empty gym.
oh,
Like
absolutely.
there's times where you're like, well, people think like, well, but if there's other people in there, it gives me motivation. And there certainly is like some people that I run into at the gym that are in way better shape than I am. And I'm like, yeah, that's killer. I want that. But I love being in an empty gym. I don't have to wait for any equipment or for a space to do my workout. And it's hard to find that in the evening or at
Oh, for sure.
9
Even in the
a.m. when
afternoon.
everybody
Yeah.
else is in the
But by doing that, by knowing you're the only one in there, that's got to be an awesome feeling too, because knowing, you know what, I'm here. I'm here. These people are not, or they'll be here in 3 or 4 hours. Well, 3 or 4
Yep.
hours from now, I've already got all this other stuff knocked out, you know, and
Yep.
it's such an awesome feeling. It really is.
Yep, absolutely. And like last week, I had to travel for work, and I was going to a Vasa down in St. George in southern Utah, and they open at 5, but it's such a big gym that there's hundreds of people in there at 5 a.m., which is
Is that the
kind of
one?
cool.
Is that the
What's
one
that?
over by? Is that the one over by the mall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like it's cool to see that many motivated people that are in there getting their workout in at 5 a.m. But I was just like,
But
man, this is stressing me out trying to find equipment because I don't know this layout of this place and trying to
right.
get my workout done. And there's people everywhere. So I was so grateful to get home and just go to my gym and just be like, oh wow, there's like 3 people in here. Cool.
Perfect.
Like this is great. Or nobody, or the owner's in there getting her workout on
Right.
before anybody else gets there on the weekend. I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is
See, I
bliss.
could do this.
Yeah. That's totally awesome. I can't say enough good things about the morning routine either. I love it. My girlfriend Brittany is very much the same way, that she gets up and has her set of routine that she does. And yeah, it's as non-negotiable as you're willing to make it. And the more
Absolutely.
non-negotiable you make it, the better it is.
100%. And then
Yeah.
after that, after time, you don't even think about it. You just do it,
Yep.
you know, and then when it comes to that point, there's no stopping you. You know, if you don't have to think about it and you just do it, it's, you know, it's just who you are now, you know, and you can actually think about other things while you're doing the things that you used to have to think about, you know what I mean? And you just become more productive, you become more aware, and it's just, I don't know, you know, and kind of off topic, but not really, is I saw a video Sean posted the other day, or maybe it's a little bit older, but he's like, look, man, you got one life. This is it. You know, just go after what you want. Go after, you know, and that's, I want to get to that point where I don't even think about things that I need to get done. They just get done. And then I'm living each day to its absolute fullest, you know?
Absolutely. And it does make everything better. And yeah, I certainly I'm always trying to squeeze in more. Like this week's been a terrible week for me to get to the gym just because of the hours and being out on calls late and just
Yeah. Your
just
weather.
just kicking myself like while I'm already down and trying to get in, and it messes with you.
It does.
And so like that's something that I'm working on, is to try to find like more time that's focused that I can actually, and that's why I'm like, yeah, maybe now that I hear you say like 3:30, okay, 4's not as, yeah, I can do it half hour earlier,
Yeah.
and just try to get those things in because it is important. And I know for me, I never was filling my cup. before I started getting treatment. I just wasn't. I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Right.
My idea of filling my cup was to just do as much as I could for everyone around me, which was actually emptying my cup more.
Right.
And
Your cup
it's
had
not.
holes in it. Your cup had
Yeah,
holes in it. You thought
yeah,
you were filling it up, but it was going out the bottom to everywhere else, you know?
yep. And
I
it's
get it.
not that doing these things that we're talking about is selfish. It's taking care of ourselves so that we can fill other people's cups. If your cup's
Absolutely.
empty, you can't fill anybody's cup.
Nope.
You
Nope.
can't even help at all.
Nope.
And having that mindset shift, I think, is so paramount in the journey, that recognizing that no, you have to make time for yourself.
Yes.
You have to do something. And you know, I'm very much like you, like we're very similar with the routines that we have in that. But I would even argue that maybe if your thing is that you just need 15 minutes in the morning to sit on the back porch with a cup of coffee and listen to the birds chirp, if
That's a
that
huge
fills your
win.
cup, do it. And
Absolutely.
make it a priority. And that's all about you time. And
Absolutely.
you know, whatever it is for you, do it.
Yeah, you don't need to have these full, like I said, I keep adding to mine because the things that I was having to think about, I don't have to think about anymore. So now, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, having a nice cup of coffee outside for just 15 minutes could impact your day 150%. You know, it could be the best thing to set up your day. And if that's where it starts, absolutely. It doesn't need to be all this drawn out stuff. Whatever it looks like for you, it, it, it will make a difference. It does make a difference.
Absolutely. And like meditation was a huge one for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it. I was just kind of like, oh, whatever. Like it just didn't work for me. And Brittany, my partner, was just like, you got to like try this. You got to really give it an effort. And now I've pushed it into my daily routine. Like I'm guessing I'm over 4 months in of consistent meditation every morning. A
That's
while
awesome.
back, I had posted about hitting the 100-day mark. And once that became the normal thing, like if for some reason I miss it, I know it and I don't want
Yeah.
to miss it. Like it's just becomes a part of what you do and a part of your wholeness. And so like I was grateful that I was like, okay, fine, I'll give this a try, even though it never worked for me before. But once I actually put in the conscious effort and was like, okay, you want me to try it, I'll try it. And you know, she's been doing that for years.
Yeah.
And it's been such a positive thing for her, and it's been a positive thing for me. So like it's just really whatever you need to
Yeah.
fill you up, just do it.
You know, I love my visualization time. I still meditate once in a while, but I sit and close my eye and I actually try to visualize where I want to go, my future, what I want. I try to, and by just doing that, I've gotten a lot better at that, of just visualize. And a lot of the stuff that you visualize, and if you really get into your visualizing your future, it starts to happen. It's weird. The things that you visualize start to occur,
Yep.
and that's an awesome feeling too. So I'm right there with you. And if I miss that, I know it,
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such great stuff, Chris. I mean, it's like so much of the process of healing in the journey has to become about taking care of yourself. And as first responders, and I think, you know, I tend to speak to mostly to first responders, but not entirely in what I do. But it's just, you know, it's the people that I have on the podcast for the most part. It's the people that I tend to interact with, but there's other people too. But it's, as first responders, we focus so much on taking care of other people,
Yes.
that really for longevity, we have to take care of ourselves. And I would argue the same for anybody out there that is struggling and dealing with PTSD or any of these types of things, that you have to take care of yourself. And that's hard for some. It was hard for me. We just get stuck in those spots. But I really think that that's such a huge part of the journey. And I love hearing about other people and what they do and seeing the similarities and the differences. It's just profound,
Yes.
to see how it actually affects the person and how that routine lights them up, and it gives them it gives them that fire and the drive that they need for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, as far as if people wanted to find you, to talk more, or to connect with you, what's the best way for people to do that, Chris?
Honestly, bro, Instagram is, if people want to DM me, Instagram, I'm at Revell, Crevell. If anybody has questions, what I did and what I'm doing, please reach out. I'm all about, if I can add any bit of value to somebody else's life. I've been quite a few people have been reaching out about, because they saw my transformation picture, and I think you saw it too.
Yeah.
It's I've gotten, I've had a lot of guys ask about workout plans and nutrition plans and putting those together for them. And I'm always been good with that. So if you're looking for that, please reach out, DM me. What I really want to start working on with people is the nutrition and fitness will come. But once you get like you were saying, once you get your mindset right and you start, you can do a complete 180 in wherever you're at. So if you need help with, getting your mind right, or fitness and nutrition, and want to get out of that darkness, reach out, please.
Yep, absolutely. And I can speak from experience, like the people that I bring on here, when they say that, they mean that. Just like when I say it, I mean it. It's the goal of this is to build a network, an opportunity for people that if you feel like somebody on here, if he resonates with you, reach out to him, and
Please.
the same with anybody. And the idea here is to just make a space where people can feel like they can connect with somebody and talk. And yeah, I would definitely check Chris out on Instagram. If you haven't seen the transformation pictures, it's impressive. Well done.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Dan. Thank you. It's not over yet. Just wait. It's not over
Yeah.
yet. It's going to be really impressive. I would say by summertime, but
Nice.
thank you. It's been awesome, man. And the comments and the feedback and everything has just been absolutely so rewarding, and it's good to hear. But knowing that I'm inspiring other people to just make little changes is huge, and I couldn't ask for anything more. It's awesome.
Absolutely. That's great. So final thoughts for you, Chris. Any final thoughts, or if there's one thing that you would say to somebody who's struggling, what would your message be?
I think honestly, it would be, you're not alone. You're not alone. There are people out there that want to help, that can help, and where you're at now is not your final destination. So reach out. It's hard, but talk to somebody. Reach out. And if you don't feel comfortable with talking to somebody, say on your department or in your battalion or whatever, reach out to somebody like yourself or me who have gone through it, we have an open mind. We know, we will just sit and listen. But I think my biggest thing is, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. Don't
Yep.
stay there. There are options. There is a way out, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think you and me, I think we can be that lighthouse for people. You just need to find the light and ask. And I know
Absolutely.
it's hard. But we want you to. We don't want you to go down the road that we were in, or stay where you're at. We want you to come to this side where we're at. So it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. ask for help. You're not alone.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you. That's awesome. And that's great. Like that's what we want. We're here to help. We want people to help. Let's change the face of things and become comfortable talking about those things and have that conversation that needs to happen.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on, Chris.
Thanks, brother.
I'll put Chris's Instagram links in the show notes. Definitely reach out to him if you're interested, if you want to know anything, fitness, nutrition, just somebody to talk to if his message resonates with you. And same with me, guys. Reach out, comment, let us know how we're doing here on the podcast, and we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Freeing Your Mind podcast. Have a great one, guys. Love you. God bless.